Football, the number one sport in America, and it's not even close. It's my favorite sport to watch by far. Matter of fact, I have a channel that's pretty much all about it. However, there are many questions about this sport. With all that we know about football and the NFL particularly, what does the future hold? By far, the biggest problem are concerns about CTE and various head injuries. As science has improved over the year, it's showing more and more what was obvious. The violence of getting hit in the head repeatedly causes brain damage. Participation in youth leagues has gone down, and I would never have any of my children play tackle football until high school at the earliest. The problem is, violence and collisions are part of what makes football interesting. The big bodies banging and colliding are what makes football different from a lot of sports. Football isn't a contact sport, it's a collision sport. Helmets are a huge part of it. To remove hitting the head or using your head in the tackle is asking a huge integral part of the game to be removed. From the beginning, football players are taught to tackle with your head in the front as proper technique. The NFL and youth football leagues are trying to minimize the head injuries. They're teaching players to tackle with their head up and to make the tackle with their head behind the opponent. That all sounds good in theory, but this is a very fast sport. The ideal way to tackle doesn't always work in the heat of the moment. It's more important to get the player on the ground than to follow proper technique. This will be the biggest downfall of football. This isn't like basketball, baseball, soccer, or various other sports. The objective is to get your opponent on the ground, and it likely involves you going to the ground too and throwing your head in the way. In basketball, for example, if you use bad technique on defense, you just look bad. In football, you could do everything else right, have your head a few inches in the wrong direction, and you could have a life-altering concussion. To put it bluntly, football is dying. The game isn't worth the risk. The biggest example is Jason Worlds, formerly of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was a good player and likely would have gotten around $10 million a year on a new contract. However, he made his money and decided to walk away. The money is certainly there for football players, but it's much better to get your money and leave with your head on right. The most recent example is Rob Gronkowski. He's dealt with plenty of injuries in his career already. However, the biggest one is the concussion he sustained against the Jaguars. He's cleared from it now, but is contemplating retirement this offseason. No doubt, the thought of another head injury is on his mind. He's made his money already and knows he has a bright future elsewhere, provided he has his head on straight. For me personally, I will always watch football and love my Raiders. However, I will never blame a player from walking away from the game. Yeah, injuries suck, but head injuries are a whole different thing. Try as they might, there really isn't anything that can be done without fundamentally changing the game. Changing the game at its most basic level might be the best and only solution. The best solution I came up with is to limit the size and weight of the players. A hit to the head from 20 pounds is a lot less dangerous than 220 pounds. In today's NFL, 200 pounds is for the fast guys, whereas they were linemen in the beginning. It takes away from the idea that the best of the best play in the NFL, but something has to change. The big injuries happen the most at the NFL level. The guys are just too big and too fast. Collisions hurt. More and more studies will come out talking about how football really isn't worth the toll it takes on your body. There will be plenty of people willing to take that risk, but there's a reason plenty of parents and former players are saying they're taking their kids away from the game. Despite all the knowledge of head trauma, I don't think the NFL will ever go away. Simply put, it just makes too much money to go away. Currently, it's the highest paid professional sports league in the world, and it's really not even close. If there's millions of dollars to be had, people are willing to do whatever it takes for the financial security. The best way to make money is through commercials. Football has by far the best opportunities for commercials. There are so many breaks in advertising in the NFL, it's a little ridiculous. Matter of fact, plenty of people watch Super Bowl simply for the commercials. There just aren't any other sports that lend itself to advertising and making money quite like football. In short, I don't see football ever going away. It's too ingrained and makes way too much money. However, the product you see on the field will be very different 15 years from now. The passing revolution was the big change 15 years ago, and I think the safety will be the new one. We already see it with personal foul for hitting a defensive receiver, and I think it's just the first step. The NFL needs to continue and try and make the game safer before it becomes irrelevant.